Hi, I'm J. Francis Lee. I'm immigration attorney in Chicago, Schaumburg, Illinois, and Madison, Wisconsin. I'm also a college professor and first-generation immigrant. Recently, I attended a citizenship interview with my client, which took place in Chicago, Illinois. Today, I will explain how English test, civics test, and N400 interview are conducted during COVID-19. When interview is scheduled, make sure to verify the time, day, and location of your interview. You are required to bring the following items: interview notice, driver's license, all green cards, all passports, recent tax return, birth certificate, selective service registration if applicable, child support payment if applicable, marriage certificate if applicable, divorce decree if applicable. How do I reschedule my citizenship interview? You should not come to your interview if you have any symptoms of COVID-19, have in close contact with anyone known or suspected to have COVID-19 in the last 14 days, or have been individually directed to self-quarantine or self-isolate within the last 14 days. If you are unable to attend your interview due to COVID-19, you need to call USCIS Contact Center to reschedule it. Can I bring guests to my naturalization interview? N400 applicant is not allowed to bring any family member to the interview unless the applicant is minor. Your attorney is allowed to attend your interview in person or via telephone. If you don't speak English fluently, you may have interpreter available via telephone. If you have a disability and have an individual who assists you, that individual may come with you. What are the safety and social distancing rules for the interview? On the day of your interview, you must be aware of the following safety and social distancing guidelines. My client and I were allowed to enter the Chicago field office 15 minutes before the scheduled interview. We had to wear facial coverings that covered both the mouth and nose throughout the appointment. Very few hand sanitizers were available inside the building, so it would be a good idea to bring your own. The temperatures of my client and I were checked when we checked in. What should I expect at my citizenship interview? Once we're allowed to enter the building, I presented interview notice to a security officer. My client and I had to read COVID-19 safety questions, answer no to them. We went through a security check, went up to the interview floor. I checked in with interview notice and then received interview receipt number. How's a naturalization interview conducted during COVID-19? Interviewing officer called us on time and we followed her to her office. It was a bit tiny office so that my client and I could not sit 6 feet apart. There was a plexiglass on her desk dividing officer and us. An officer wore a mask throughout the interview. When we settled in, officer asked my client to take an oath. Next, officer asked my client to present identification documents such as his green card, driver's license, and passports. Then officer took my client's picture and index fingerprints. 2021 U.S. Civics questions. Because my client submitted his N400 before December 2020, he studied for 100 civics test questions and only had to give 6 correct answers. The officer started with the civics test by asking the following questions. Number 1. Why do some states have more representatives than other states? Number 2. What is the supreme law of the land? Number 3. What is one thing Benjamin Franklin is famous for? Number 4. Who did the United States fight in World War II? Number 5. What is the name of the President of the United States now? And number 6. What are the 2 major political parties in the United States? My client correctly answered the first 6 questions and quickly passed a civics test. Next was U.S. Citizenship English Reading and Writing test for naturalization. Unlike the civics test, my client was instructed to use a tablet attached to the officer's desk and stylus pen. Officer asked my client to read what was shown on the tablet, which was White House is in Washington, D.C. When my client answered it correctly, the officer read freedom of speech is one right to my client and asked him to write it on the tablet. When my client passed the English test, the officer conducted N400 eligibility interview by reading the questions in N400 form. The officer verified all items on the N400 application, such as my client's biographic information, address, employment, overseas trips, and marital status. Officer did not ask all yes or no N400 eligibility questions. After reviewing the N400 application, the officer checked my client's certificates and resent tax return. Toward the end of the interview, the officer asked my client to verify the changes she made and sign on the tablet. How long does it take for a naturalization oath ceremony? As the officer was handing out N652 form to my client, she verbally confirmed that she recommended approval. The whole process inside the officer's room lasted about 30 minutes. In general, you will attend a naturalization ceremony to receive a certificate of naturalization about 30 to 120 days after your successful interview. In my client's case, the officer scheduled a ceremony on the day of my client's interview. Watch our YouTube video on how to prepare and attend a naturalization ceremony during COVID-19. Stay safe and be well. Frances Law Center. Stay tuned for additional videos. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the notification bell. Thank you.